This is Amplify Daily number 49 of 365. Follow the energy. So, I want to talk to y'all about 5 different types of people, 3 of which are amazing for supporting you and growing on your journey, 2 of which you need to be able to identify and throw them in the trash immediately. And in both cases, they are people who you wouldn't necessarily expect should go in the trash, but I want to help you identify this. So let's start with person number one. Person number one is the cheerleader. You ever seen the person who, when you post something on social media, maybe a small win of some sort, that person is directly into your public comments. Congratulations, so proud of you, great job, and that's about it. They don't have an offer or an invitation of any sort. They don't have any help for you. It's just great job, pat on the back. You know what? Keep those people in your network. They are the wind beneath your sails. You need those folks. Everybody needs the people who, when they post something, you can depend on them to say, great job. Great job. Keep going. We're excited for you. Keep those people in your network. They are the wind beneath your sails. They're great. Person number two. Let's talk about person number two. I call person number two the fake helper. And this is somebody who, when you post that big win publicly and people are paying attention, everybody's giving you the praise, that person takes the opportunity to go ahead and jump on that same comment thread and say, hey bro, I mean, great job. Listen, I got somebody, I got somebody who you need to meet. Got somebody you need to meet, or just DM me, right? Or they do the thing where they're like, hey man, listen, love what you're doing. Love what you're doing. I feel like I probably got some connections that might be a good fit. This is all public, right? In the public thread. Um, DM me if you need anything at all. Anything at all. I got you. I got you. I feel like I got some people. And you DM that person, you text that person, you email that person, and it's nothing. No response back at all. You realize that this isn't the first time that they've done that. Like, they've done that to you before. And that kind of pattern, you need to throw that person in the trash right away. I'll tell you why. Because that post is not for you. That post is a clout chasing post that is on your thread, and they want to look like they are well connected, and maybe they even are, but they're not commenting to actually authentically help. They're commenting to clout chase and have people view them in light of being a connector, being somebody who's a person who's to be reached out to. And they don't actually help. They pretty much don't even respond. Throw them in the trash. I know it seems like, man, they're connected and maybe they could do something. You need to follow the energy. You need to follow the energy, and that energy is inauthentic. Throw them in the trash. Now let's get to person number three. Person number three is um, this is the person who is the, how do you describe them? They have the best intent, right? They're on your social media too. You post that win, they're like, man, Thomas, great job. Hey, I've got some people I want to introduce you to, if that's okay. I love what you're doing. And you're like, yeah, I appreciate that. And the people they introduce you to are just as much as they want to be helpful, these people um, are not well connected. They're not well resourced, and the folks who they introduce you to are just not a fit. Right? They're not even in the ballpark. They're not appropriate to be customers, clients. They don't have any resources or relationships. They just are really getting on your phone and taking up time. They're not even close to being somebody who you would transact with. And here's the thing: this is gonna sound terrible. It really is. I had a mentor who told me this a long time ago. I'm going to tell y'all just like he told me, and y'all can't judge me for it because I'm not the person who came up with this quote. My mentor said, "Every dud knows a stud." Every dud knows a stud. And what that means is if this person is well intended and they are going out of their way to try to help you, and they're introducing folks, they're looking into their network, even though the introductions they're making for you are kind of low value, not going to get you anywhere. The thing is, they are actively working on your behalf. They are doing everything in their power to try to add value to your life and your business. And for those people, keep those people around. Even if they're not able to offer you high value contacts, they are a high value person because they're authentic and they are actually taking action on your behalf. And every dud knows a stud. They got an auntie, an uncle, family friend, somebody somewhere who they're going to happen upon when you least expect it. That inbox referral is going to come in hot, and you're going to say, "Yo, that's your godfather, or that's your family friend, or whatever." You like, that is exactly who I need to be talking to. Yes, please introduce them. So keep them around. They are a high value person. And, if you can be of support to them in any way, do so. It's reciprocal. They are actively trying to help you. And at some point, they're going to happen upon a high value connection. Okay. So person number one and number three, we keep. Person two, we throw in the trash. Let's talk about person number four. Person number four is the most sinister person on the list. And it may or may not be on purpose that they are, but they are by far the most dangerous person on your journey. I'm going to tell you who this person is. This is the person who they have all of the relationships you need. They got the resources that you need. They got the financial capital that you need. They're in all the right rooms. They're positioned perfectly. And they legitimately and authentically, with one simple stroke of a check, they can actually transform your entire life. They can transform your circumstances. One stroke of a check, one text, one email, one phone call to people in their network. They are strategically positioned in a way where they do have the power play that they can make and totally shift your circumstances. You know it, they know it. And here's what they say to you. They say some version of, young man or young woman, I see what you're doing and I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. I think you're on to something. I think you're doing great things. Matter of fact, I come down to my office. Come to my office on Monday, and I wanna talk to you about a project. We'll talk to you about a project I got going on. Okay, and you're excited. This is the type of person, that they can change your circumstances in one action. And so you clear your schedule and you come down to their office on Monday, and you know what happens. Y'all talk for a couple hours, and they lay out this big vision that they have for this thing that they're working on, and they need people like you. They say they need somebody like you to be a part of it. They love what you're doing. They love the way that your mind works. They need to keep you close because you're going to be onto something. And before you know it, you walk out of that room and you've committed to being part of a project. And there's no pay with this project. There is a lot of time commitment with this project. But you think that because you're in proximity to this person and they're telling you that they believe in you and they see what you're doing and you're a high value person and your intellect and all this, you believe that at some point that this project in this person is going to translate into money for you, right? You believe in this good intention because they've told you I'm going to make sure you're in all the right rooms. But somehow, as amazing as they say you are, they never actually cut a check. Yet they have you working on projects. They have you coming down to the office. They may even be in another city, and you get a call that sounds like Thomas. Thomas, I listen. I am in Atlanta right now. I'm going to be at the such and such conference. Need you in the room. And you drop everything you're doing because this high value person said they need you in the room. And so, but what they're not going to do, they don't offer to pay a plane ticket. You find your way there, maybe even spend your last few dollars because this is a high value person and they could transform your circumstances in any moment. Except you get there to that conference and, they invite you into certain rooms and, all the people are there, right? They could make really high value introductions warm that set you up in a particular way, but they don't. You're just kind of in the room observing them in action. And then afterwards they talk to you and tell you everything that's going on and what they're working on and how you fit into it. But weeks go by, months go by, and you are consistently in their office working on projects, expanding your reach into what they're doing. They're getting amazing value from you, but yet they've paid you nothing. They've not made any high quality introductions, and you always seem like you're one step away from getting what you thought you'd get from them. Y'all, this is a really tough thing to say, and it took me years to understand this. It really did. Um, Throw this person in the trash. Throw this person in the trash. Stay as far away from them as you can, because what I will tell you is that person does not have your best interests in mind. That doesn't mean that they are actively trying to sabotage you. They're just not a high value person for you. Why? Because they are sapping your value and not investing anything back into you. Some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You got a meeting with them tomorrow and you will trade your time, you will trade your energy, and most importantly, the toughest thing of it all, you will trade your hope. You will trade your hope because you're tired, your bandwidth is low, you've been grinding, you got dirt underneath your fingernails, and you are hoping that for the love of God, this is the person who's going to change your circumstances. You are hoping, but you're not thinking accurately. You are hoping, but you're not thinking accurately. You're not judging them based on how well their words match their actions over time. And you are investing your energy in being sapped emotionally, mentally, physically. And because you know that that person could actually cut the check, it hurts more than anybody because it's nothing for them. Even a tiny check for them would be game changing for you, and they don't do it. You got to throw this person in the trash. Okay. Now let me tell you about number 5. And the first time that you meet a number 5, it has the opportunity to change your entire life, your entire mindset, because you realize that 5s exist. And when you experience that, if you're a certain type of person, I know I am, you want to be a 5 for other people because you know the impact that it can have. So let me tell you about number 5. Number 5 is just like number 4 in the way that they are a person who they've got the financial resources, they've got the connections, they've got all of the things that you need, the positioning to be able to make a call, send a text, send an email, or take out their pen and cut a check themselves that can literally transform your life in that particular moment in time. And what they say is, I love what you're doing. I think it's a perfect fit for me. And I've got some other partners who I think would be a perfect fit. I want you to follow up with me on Monday and let's talk about it. right? So they're gonna leave the ball in your court, and when you follow up, they actually cut the check. Can you believe this? People like this exist. I'm gonna tell you about one of them, and I'm gonna call him out by name. He's somebody who's made, as an adult, right? There's just a handful of people as an adult male who is, um, I'm talking about myself right now, who is actively in the personal development world. I am ravenously working on myself, bettering myself at all times, personally and professionally. And I try to lead by example. I try to be someone who is invested in other people, who is actively trying to support the journeys of others who are traversing some gap, personally or professionally, and trying to go from some point A to some point B. I help them to close that gap. That is literally who I am on this planet. I help people to amplify and close gaps quickly between points A and B. So there haven't been a ton of people at this stage in my life who I meet and I say I look up to. I look up to them as a man, as a business person. Just not a ton of people at this stage who I meet and I'm like, I look up to that guy. Glenn Charles. Glenn Charles. It's a guy I met, I guess at this point, maybe 6, 7 years ago. It's a while back. It's when I was still running my software company full time. I have a software patent on a microfeedback platform that I architected and um, partnered with another company to build in 2012. And that world of technology, it can be brutal. You're trying to get this big idea off the ground, and I'll tell you that story, another story for another date and time. But what I'll tell you is when I met Glenn, it was at a time in my company where my software was mature enough where we could play on the big stage. We had done business with several enterprise companies, Ford, Diageo, which is the largest spirits and liquor distributor in the world of premium wine, beer, and spirits. We'd had a few wins under our belt, but we were still a small company. We weren't making any real money. Contract sizes weren't super big. And when I met Glenn Charles runs a company called Show Strategy, and also GCJ Management, GCJ Hospitality. They build and manage some of the largest trade shows, art fairs, expositions in the world. So if you've ever been to the One of a Kind show in Chicago, if you've ever been to Neocon in Chicago, if you've ever been to the Sofa show in Chicago, huge art fair, if you've ever been to the Armory Show in New York, which I think is the second largest art show in the world behind Art Basel, Glenn's company builds all of those shows. And when I say build, I don't mean like a secondary contractor working on those shows. They are the prime contractor. They walk into massive halls, like 100,000 square foot halls, and there's nothing but concrete and wiring, and they literally transform the entire space, every wall, every floor, every light. They transform these spaces for huge 50, 60,000 person trade shows for people coming in from around the world. And that's what his company does. And he's been doing it for 20 plus years, and he's probably the best in the country at it. Emerging company. And excuse me, Glenn, I told him about my microfeedback platform when I met him, and one of the use cases was we were able to gather feedback in rather unconventional environments, like a big trade show where you've got thousands of people walking through. But how do you get feedback about different areas of the trade show? Well, my software, we could crowdsource feedback in a variety of ways. Won't get into the details, but Glenn actually sat down with me and he gave me a shot. He gave me a 5-figure contract at that time, which was, we had just gotten our contracts up over 5 figures for the licensing. And, he sat down and he gave me a shot at it. And A month or two later, he actually hired me as a consultant to come into his company, and I actually built out what became their system architecture for managing all their people, process, and systems to build these trade shows. Their project management dashboard, I built it in Asana, and they used that for a number of years to manage the builds on these massive trade shows. And Glenn just, at every turn was always looking for opportunities to put money in my pocket and to support my growth as a man and as a businessman. And let me tell you, if you've never had anybody do that for you, it like you can be suspicious. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by this. I remember there was like a 3-4 month time period where Glenn just kept kind of throwing opportunities my way and asking for nothing back at all. And I'm like, what is this dude on? Like, what's his actual end game? Because nobody does this. That's how I operate. Like, I'm always looking for ways to invest in people. And I'm not looking for anything back. It's just good karma out in the world. But like, I don't meet other people who operate like that. At least I hadn't at that time. And so, even though I was telling myself I live from a place of abundance, the reality was I didn't know what abundance actually felt like. I'd never really experienced another person trying to give it to me. And there was a particular moment in time where Glenn referred me to an opportunity. That opportunity came to fruition. And I gave him a call and I said, hey, Glenn, do you see that thing came through? Um, how much do you want? And he says, what do you mean? And I said, well, the person you introduced me to ended up getting that contract. So tell me what you need from it. And he's like, I'm not following. I said, GC, I'm sure you want a commission or something. I'm making money here from your referral. Just, tell me what commission. And he's like, T, let me explain something to you. I'm already rich, brother. I'm doing just fine. I don't have to eat every time you eat. Keep your money, get your bag. And at some point in time, we'll be on the same level in terms of financial things that we can do. And then we can go in on things together. We can invest together. We can do other things together. But for now, get your money and pay it forward. And I was blown away. I was blown away. And it took me several months, like I said, to really understand this guy actually has no agenda. This guy actually just has my best my best interest at heart. He is actually trying to help me grow for no other reason than to try to help me grow. I'd never experienced this, y'all. I'd never experienced it. Even me, as somebody who would count myself as someone who invests heavily in other people, I, even up to that point, if I would refer somebody to an opportunity that closed, like, I'm expecting a little something, show your boy some love, right? From that moment forward, anytime that I actually refer somebody to an opportunity, and I've referred people to opportunities that have turned out to be 6-figure, multiple 6-figure, 7-figure opportunities for them, unless I am personally doing something ongoingly that requires my time, energy in some way, I don't need anything from that. Get your bag, keep your money. I'm doing okay. And I have taught that lesson forward to so many people now. And I tell that story of Glenn Charles every single time. And I've had people come back and tell me how they now take that philosophy and they've passed it on to people and they've passed it on to people. So that person number 5, when you find them the first time, can be life changing. And let me tell you something else. We all have them in our lives. But a lot of times we're not paying attention to that person number 5 because we feel like we're not ready. We feel like we're not ready. We want to get our ducks in a row. Our contracts aren't quite perfect. And, we don't quite know the follow-up process. And we don't want them to judge us because maybe we don't know what to say in dealing with a fish that big. What they told us was follow up on Monday. What they told us was follow up, and they're ready to do something. What we don't know is they already know that we janky, right? They already know that we're not quite ready. They see something in us. They see that spark. They see that drive. They see that you're ready for a level up, and they are actively trying to level you up. They are actively saying, "Give me a shout on Monday," not because they need to work with you, but because they want to. You remind them of someone, probably them, and they're ready and willing to cut you a check while they level you up and introduce you to three or four of their people. And what you don't know is they're probably gonna let those people know that you're a diamond in the rough, that you're somebody who they're working with a little bit, and don't worry about the fact the contract is a little bit rough around the edges. You got it. You don't know that they've already accounted for all of this. All you have to do is step into the abundance that's waiting for you. But what we do is we're so busy being unfocused, being unacquainted with what abundance looks and sounds and feels like, that we focus on everything but that. That person is saying, "Hey, this is me over here. I'm in a position I can change your circumstances. Whenever you're ready, give me a shout." And we say, "Okay, I will." Monday comes and goes, and we're thinking about it. And a month later, and 2 months later, and 3 months later, you see them again 6 months later. And they're like, "Hey, I thought that we told you were going to give me a shot." And you're like, "Oh man, I'm sorry. I got a little bit busy. I'm going to reach out." And they're like, "Cool. Well, reach out. Ready whenever you are." And they're always right there. Maybe another 6 months goes by and they check in on you. They check in on you and they say, "How's it going? Just checking in." "Oh, things are great." "Are they?" "Yeah, you should come over to the office sometime. I feel like we got some things to talk about." "Okay, cool. I will." And we're well intended. We're meaning to go check them out and follow up, but we just want to get a few more projects under our belt so we can look the part when we go see them. What we don't know is that we are wasting time. And if you actually will focus your energy exclusively on people who are number five, your business will explode. Your business will explode if you just listen to the subtle cues, because there are people who are reaching out to you right now who are in the position to transform your circumstances, and you are not paying attention. You're not responding. You're not leaning into them. So when I say that you need to follow the energy, you need to lean into the people who are leaning into you, the people who are actively sowing into you, the people who are actively introducing people to you. They're the folks who are in a room and you get a text message that says, "Thomas, I need you to get down to, such and such inside the hour. If you can, it's somebody you got to meet." You get right down there, you walk in the room and they introduce you and they say, "Hey, such and such, come here for a second. Listen, this is Thomas. I told him to come down here because you definitely need to beat him. I know that you're working on, trying to get a such and such done, right? Yeah. Well, listen, this guy here, Thomas, he is the best person I know in the city doing that. Not somebody who shouts from the rooftops, kind of a hidden gem. I think you guys have a lot to talk about." That's the way the number fives work. They bring you in, they make those qualified, warm introductions, they'll cut the check, they'll move you forward, but you got to lean in and be paying attention because they'll notice when you're not ready mindset wise, and they'll backpedal a little bit and they'll leave the ball in your court. But if you lean in, they'll leave in and you'll move along. So I hope that was helpful. This was a longer Amplify Daily, but I thought it was worth it. This is a CEO level insight. And what I'm going to say is that building your business, building businesses it's not an easy thing. It's not a simple thing, but it does not nearly have to be as hard as we make it. I promise you that. If you listen to the signals, if you pay attention to who's leaning into you, if you slow down, take some stuff off of your plate, and cultivate the relationships with number five, those people who can and will transform your life in an instant, and start looking for them, paying attention, things will change and they will change quickly, and you will be on a fast paced ride upward. Amplify Daily. Talk to you tomorrow.